Welcome to Books and Things with Tom. And another week has passed and another guest is here. Tonight's guest is Kuhn. Got that right? She is an author. She's a co-owner of Miss Maintenance. And she's also done a million things that I can't even remember. But one of the big things was that she was in a newspaper article concerning the lighthouse at Race Rock. And she was doing maintenance in there, and National Geographic actually enticed her and got her in there. And she worked there for a month. But it was all the other things that she's done that really caught my attention. And I called her up, I got her phone number, and called her up on it. And I said, I'd love to have you on my TV show. And then I found out that she also is an author, so we had her on Kappa's group show. And anyway, I'd like to introduce you to Brooks. How you doing, Brooks?
Nice to be here.
Same here. I'm glad to have you here because you're an exciting lady. I just can't believe the stuff that you have done. You should be 130.
I know enough to get myself in a lot of trouble. I started out as an ER nurse at L&M. Did that for 7 years. Then I was a trophy wife. I got the boat and he got the house.
Yeah, well, I was lucky for him. I think you made out better.
Well, my dad always said the most important thing to collect are memories, and I certainly made those.
Yeah.
But when I took off to sea, I knew nothing about what I was doing. I knew how to sail, but I didn't know how to maintain an engine.
Yeah.
Or cruising is a whole different animal to sailing.
I'll bet.
Cruising's like chess. You can always learn more. And sailing, I can teach you how to sail in an afternoon.
Really?
Yeah, it's very easy. Point the boat to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Let the sail out till it luffs. Pull it in till it doesn't. If it's still fluttering, you can't go there.
No.
Those are the 4 rules.
Well, it's simple enough.
Yeah, but cruising's a whole other thing. So I wrote a book it's about 32, I think, short stories on how I learned things the hard way. Mm-hmm. Usually when women write about their time at sea, it goes something like this. And then I single-handedly rounded the horn and found my true inner being. Gag me, boring.
Yeah.
They don't talk about when they rammed the dock or tried to get water out of an engine with tampons and all the other silly things I did that most people find pretty entertaining. I realized as I got older that my life has been unusual, basically shaped by my dad and my mom.
Yeah.
We knew we knew at dinner time we better have a funny story about something that happened during the day. So we all spent the day looking for the humor in life. The family really values humor. I mean, you can be a serial killer, but if you're funny, we love you. So,
and that's a good thing.
and that's a good thing.
Humor is what makes life interesting.
I mean, sometimes I find myself in well, I'll tell you, there was an old Gary Larson cartoon.
Yeah.
It was in the Esquire when I was like 15 years old. It was all dark around the edges, like they're in a dark room.
Now, Gary Larson was the Far Side.
Yes, the Far Side cartoonist.
In case you don't remember Far Side, that was a tremendous cartoonist. I don't know why he stopped. Was he die or?
He just stopped doing the comics. He still, I think, does books.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. But it's all dark around the edges. This guy is obviously at an eye doctor, and he's reading the eye chart. And the eye chart says, I am a mad seeing eye doctor, and I am going to kill you.
No.
And behind him is the doctor with a big dagger. Well, it's black humor for sure.
Yeah.
But it's humor nonetheless. And I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And there's oftentimes in my life I've been in Gary Larson cartoons.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
The other thing he shaped my life was don't be afraid to try new things. And try to get as much adventure out of life as you can.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say it, I'm looking at 70 in the fall. There's no, gee, I wish I'd done yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Because
You've done it.
I've done a lot of things.
And that's important. And a lot of people say, well, you know, I'd like to do that. Then do it. If you like to do it, do it. Because life's too short.
Well, yeah, I say these days, there's no more some days.
No.
But if you say that from the get-go,
Yeah. You can get everything done.
you get everything done.
I've sat there and I thought, here I am, 73 years old. What have I accomplished? And my ex-girlfriend said, "What, are you kidding me? And you did this and this and this." And I said, "Oh yeah," but you don't realize it. And now I have a TV show.
Yeah.
So it is fun. But your dad was very important in your life, and she did a lot of teaching. And
Oh yeah, he had as my book has 1,000 rule number ones.
oh yeah,
Clean ship is when I ran a cargo ship,
yeah,
I used to say this to my 5 West Indian men crew. A clean ship is, after all, and they go, a hoppy ship. I just love to hear them say it. But yeah, he had 1,000 rule number ones.
wow. Now, how long were you captain of the cargo ship?
I did that for 3 years.
And how'd you get to be captain?
Well, when I got the boat and he got the house,
Yeah.
I had a new, younger relationship.
Oh.
And but he had the license, and I did everything. Especially a few years later, when I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have an apron on down below, fixing a fan on a nav station, and a seafood mousse going over here for lunch, and then pop up and say tack, which
Yeah.
means turn the boat to a different direction.
Yeah.
I did everything. But yet, when walking down the street, somebody said, "Hey, Captain," he'd turn around.
Oh, yeah.
And it did not sit well with me.
No, I can imagine.
So when I studied, took the test in St. Thomas without taking the course, and he'd never thought I'd pass it. I came down the hill, and he was not happy to see that I had my invisible skipper's hat on. It's changed from girlfriend to skipper now.
Yeah, yeah. This is big.
That's so I've had my license since 1983,
Wow.
100 ton.
No kidding. It's big.
Yeah, I drove the Quinnipiac for 3 seasons down in New Haven.
Oh, yeah?
92-foot schooner.
Yeah.
I drove, my cargo ship was 80 ton, and I carried 40 ton of what they call break bulk cargo. But it all started with A Housewife Goes to Sea.
Yeah. Yeah. What? That was training.
Definitely.
I did read the section where how you got the boat and selling the house, and
Oh, you did?
that was quite a trip. And you were very surprised to find the water had washed out the bridge.
Oh, yeah, and then it started to rain.
Oh, man.
Dr. Big Bucks wouldn't write the check for the boat until the house was sold.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of polishing and cleaning. And one day I went to work, and called me in on a Saturday. Usually I worked evenings, but I went into the ER on a Saturday, called in to say, "How's the things going?" And, "Oh, we just showed the house." And I was, oh my God, the house wasn't clean. Okay. But a sales agreement was formed, and we went ashore to have dinner with some friends. On the way back, it was pouring rain. Barely made it across a bridge. What was normally a stream is now a raging white rapid thing in the headlights of the car.
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I probably shouldn't go across this, but I really want to get home." So I floored it. I was obviously driving. Made it across the bridge. Well, the next day the bridge was gone. It probably fell away behind me.
Oh, my
I had
God.
kids in the car and wanted
Yeah.
to get home.
Oh,
Well, next morning, it was a 4,000 square foot house,
wow.
and there was 2 feet of water in the basement.
Yeah.
Dad and my brother arrived. The roads were all washed out, and they arrived with hoses. And then he left, feeling confident that his daughter knew how to start a siphon.
Yeah.
First, I tried to submerge. You have to fill up the hose with water. I tried to submerge it in the water in the basement.
Yeah.
That didn't work. So I went down to our little 1-acre pond in the behind the house, and how am I going to get this hose up the hill and keep the water in it? I know. I'll stick my tongue in the hose. So I start up the hill. It's just like if you have a straw and you put it in a glass of water and you put your thumb over
Yeah,
the top,
and you hold the
the
water.
water will stay in the in
Yeah,
the straw.
yeah.
Okay, I reasoned this out. Only halfway up the hill, my tongue was being sucked into the hose.
Oh, God.
And I had to go back down to the pond to extract my tongue. And it was a pretty dumb move. But anyway, it's funny looking back
Yeah,
on it.
Yeah. Now, the house sold and you bought the boat.
Right.
Is that the boat that you sailed on?
Yeah, I had, at that point, yeah, we were going to sail around the world, and I got to Bermuda with some Australian sailors that had just won the America's Cup, and they were a lot of fun.
Yeah?
I said, this is too much fun
Yeah.
with people my own age. So my plan was, when I got to Bermuda, well, when I got to the Caribbean, I said, you can have the house, I'll keep the boat.
Yeah.
So I had a $335,000 yacht and $35.
Wow.
All the zeros were in the wrong column.
Yeah.
So the only way to support it was to run a term charter yacht, which I did after the first year of other activities.
Yeah.
That's where you take people for a week, and usually most of it in the Virgin Islands, and then I'd go up to Penobscot Bay, Cape Cod, where I did a Kennedy charter one year.
Huh.
I had some pretty famous people. Niece of the King of Jordan, not niece, a nephew of the King of Jordan, and in day work, I did some day work in Newport.
Wow.
And then the last 4 years, I stayed in the Caribbean for the winter because I had a West Indian crew, and this was a whole new concept that the guests should have a West Indian experience. So my charters went from 7 to 10 a year, to over 25.
Really?
I was in the top 10% of book boats in the entire Caribbean,
Wow.
including Grenada,
Oh.
St. Lucia, because we took them to Jost Van Dyke, and they fed the goats corn, and we taught them how to dance to reggae, which you go up on the beat, not down.
Excuse me.
And they were fascinated to learn this stuff. They would sit at Tuffus's feet. Do you drink the goat milk? No, we save it for the baby goat them. And by the time I sold it, I was really busy.
Wow.
I sold it after going through a hurricane in 1989.
Wow.
Hugo.
Sold the boat, and that was it. And then where'd you go?
Then, and here's where future books come in. I married, as we say in the West Indies, a next West Indian. His named Bowie, and he's from Dominica, not Santo Domingo. Dominica, moi se parle Creole. I speak Creole, not Spanish.
Ah.
Bought a little 25-foot wooden boat, built in 1935 in the UK. Lived on that for a while, sailed it down to Dominica, built my own house myself, by myself.
Really?
Did all the footings, learned how to level it with a water level,
Yeah.
a hose, clear hose. My father-in-law gave us the rafters out of the Catholic Church, which were like lignum vitae. You have to drill it, you can't nail it.
Okay.
I made the house in the Japanese style of architecture. You could land a helicopter pad on the pad.
Yeah.
But like in Japan, the walls, if they blew away, you could just go pick them up and tack them back up.
Yeah.
I even cut the roof myself with a hammer and a machete, which they call a kutla there.
A what?
Kutla, cutlass.
Cutlass. That's cute.
So I lived in this village for 3 years almost, and I became like a Margaret Mead, studying their culture. And I would like to do a book on the differences. I could talk about obia, which I didn't believe in when I got there, which I ended up believing in, which is, it's like black magic, but
Really?
it doesn't always have to be black.
Yeah.
You can have a man never leave you by having him drink a certain tea or put something in his tea.
Yeah.
It's like ESP, between subconscious minds.
I could use that on one of my ex-wives.
Yeah.
No, never mind. I don't want to do that.
I could talk about herbal medicine, manners, etiquette. Never walk down the street eating out of your hand. That's totally rude.
Oh,
Something
really?
you'd never realize.
How many times you walk down to an ice cream or something?
They forgive the tourists
Yeah.
with the ice cream or the hot dog.
Yeah.
But you'll never see a West Indian doing that. They cover their food and take it to a private place. Never speak to a West Indian unless you first say morning, which is morning, afternoon, or good night is a greeting. Don't say. And when you pass somebody in the street, as opposed to here, you look them in the eye and raise your chin slightly.
Really?
Just like
a hill.
Like we divert our eyes and don't look into the other person's face, but they do this. They call it a hail up. It acknowledges the other person's existence. I respect your being here.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's fascinating.
Well, I'll be looking for that book.
Yeah. Then I moved to St. John in the Virgin Islands, where I started out in construction as a punch list girl. If they hadn't messed up a job, I wouldn't have had a job.
Really?
By fixing things. They just sealed the tile and the dog ran through it. Can you fix it, Russ? Yes. Then I went into, I got a job as a housekeeper for a property manager who had 12 short-term rental villas. I took care of 12 of them for 5 years. Did all the plumbing, electrical, carpentry, painting, tile, hurricane repair. And started out as a housekeeper, but then she had a maintenance man named Lou, and he left, so I was the new Lou. I said, I can do that stuff. So I did.
Well, you've amassed a ton of experience.
I went back to Florida, tried to get a job as a skipper. Well, I got jobs as a skipper, but there's no money in Western Florida.
Oh, no. Huh?
And the only way I could have made more money, more than $13 an hour, was to upgrade to a 500-ton and drive a tug in Tampa Bay. Well, I don't know if you ever heard of the Skyway disaster, where a tanker ran into the Skyway and school buses went off. I didn't want to be the broad that broke the new Skyway.
I don't blame you.
So I went back into nursing. I was a home health nurse for 10 years down there. I thought ER nursing was real life. No.
No, huh?
At home, seeing them in their homes is real life. And my mother financed getting my certified wound specialist.
Huh.
So I did that.
Now, what does that consist of, being a wound specialist?
I'm the designated driver. They call me to come look at a wound and recommend treatment.
Oh, okay.
And then I became involved with the microbial cellulose dressing.
This is an interesting story. You started telling me about this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, this is...
It's going to change the world.
It's going to change the world. It's what's called microbial cellulose. In other words, it's made by bacteria. A renewable resource, biodegradable, costs pennies to make. It's basically bacterial poop. A piece this big is under $10, and you only apply it once. Under electron microscope, it's identical to the body's own collagen matrix. So you put it on, it stops pain like that with no medication because the body thinks there's skin on the wound bed.
Wow.
And there's no reason for the alarm, which is pain.
Yeah.
Stops bleeding even in Kuhn patients because much faster than would normally. Because collagen is part of the clotting cascade. If you don't remove it during the healing process, there's no scar. So the drainage enters the matrix, dries out, thereby gluing it to the wound bed. In a couple hours, you can't pull it off. Until then, it's called picture framing. You go around the edge of it with tape just to keep it on there until it's dried out. It forms a scab. Bacteria can't go through 64 layers of scab. I mean, of gauze. But it can't go through a scab.
Yeah.
There's been a whole thing about moist wound bed healing. When you think about it, it's moist under the scab.
Yeah.
And the healing time is greatly reduced because all the good things the body sends to the wound bed stay in the wound bed. If they're on antibiotics and on a conventional dressing, those antibiotics struggle to get to the surface, up to the wound bed, through the tiny capillaries that feed skin.
Yeah.
Okay, then we take it out and we throw it in the trash with the dressing, the old dressing. If you look if you examine the dressing in the trash, there would be antibiotic on it.
Wow. But the patch itself gets thrown away at that point?
No, it forms a scab. Remember, it's dried out in the matrix.
Yeah.
eventually it can come off, just like scabs do, all at once, or in burns, I've seen them flake away here and there as it healed. But it is revolutionizing. I sold it for 2 years in Florida. I left my home health agency, went to Talbot's and got some business clothes, and do my presentation, go out to my car, I'd call Sean, who introduced this whole thing to me, and he said they've already ordered. By the time it took me to walk to my car, they've already ordered.
Wow. Wow.
And we were importing it from Brazil, but they shut down that lab.
So how soon can we expect it around here?
Well, we're starting with the Pentagon is waiting for us to be in production.
Yeah.
So once it's throughout all 6 branches, and I'm including the Coast Guard, even though they're not under the Pentagon, but then it'll, what's the word? The reputation will spread out into the general community.
Wow.
But
can't wait for it. Now, this product is also can be used for a number of other things.
Oh yeah, eventually the dressing is like a drop of water in the Gulf of Mexico compared to the further applications. Microbial cellulose will replace all plastic, fiberglass, styrofoam, wood products, paper products. So it will even replace metal. It's very strong, very light, very inexpensive, and it's a renewable resource.
And it costs next to nothing.
Next to nothing.
God, I can't wait for this. So, all right, how did you get involved in the watch? And I want to explain that National Geographic has on demand now, but there was 4 shows called The Watch, and there's 4 different people on each show.
No, 4 people. 4, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
the same 4 are on each show, yeah.
Yeah, same 4 people on each show. Very interesting. I watched all 4 of them, and I thought it was fascinating. And except for one of the guys who was just a little outside of his country world. So, how did we get involved in this?
Well, as I said, I've always seemed to be in the right place at the right time for amazing experiences. I just got home.
Excuse me.
I have a maintenance business now, and I just got home, tired, and my Bluetooth ringing in my ear, hello, and I heard this voice say my name. I didn't even catch the name. I'm with National Geographic, and we want to interview you. Well, they got my name from somebody who visited one of my BNI meetings. BNI is Business Networking International. Right. And we have like 28, 30 members in. Well, Denise from another BNI chapter happened to come in that morning just to visit. It was my turn to do the 10-minute talk, which goes around every 28, 30 members, okay. Well, I told a story, and everybody thought it was funny. National Geographic had made a deal with the New London Maritime Society. You know, if you let us do the show out there, we'll find somebody who can fix things. The other characters are male, so I guess they figured we had to balance it out with a woman.
Yeah.
And I was the only lighthouse, the only woman, and the oldest. So anyway, I go back into Mystic, and I meet the producer and this young girl, Caitlin, and they marched me out on a dock with Mystic Seaport in the background. And she said, "Tell me the tampon story." So I told her the tampon story, which I don't think we have time for.
No, we're running down.
And she took it to executives in New York, and they said, "We want her." So they had gone into Denise's shop because she fixes furniture. And she knew that I did maintenance.
Yeah.
So she referred them to me. She didn't want to go out there.
Now, you spent a month in the lighthouse, and if you want to watch the show, it's really fascinating because you got the ladder to get up to the lighthouse. I'd have gotten no nosebleed.
Well, I call it the Race Rock Health and Fitness Center. I lost 10 pounds out there.
Oh my word!
Yeah, that rise is 20 feet.
And then
there's only 18 steps, so each step is like
And then with a storm coming, you out there and rescue the kayak. I'd have let that go.
Now, I'm foolish, I guess. But
Yes.
well, that wasn't in name. The worry was the tide was coming up.
Yeah.
And if the tide, I didn't want the tide completely over that lower landing.
Yeah.
But we made it.
I thought the thing was fascinating. They did a good job. And was it just cameras all over the place?
Yes, I had 6 security cameras.
Yeah.
And microphones in the ceiling. Plus, I wore a microphone and carried a camera I called Wilbur.
Oh, that's right. Well, it was very interesting. Again, it's the watch, and it's on National Geographic, and you can see it on demand now. And spend a couple hours on that and watch these things. Because all 4 people were very interesting.
Yeah.
There was you, and there was a guy that was chasing aliens, and and then there was a guy that had the amusement park, and the other one was the dead town, so-called dead town. And he rode around on his motorcycle with a shotgun on his back, and didn't want to mess with him.
No.
'Cause he was serious. But it was just, it's a good show, and well worth watching, and you did a good job.
Thank you.
And you didn't even have to act because it was just normal. And she had a shiner on the first night.
Yeah. Which they loved.
Added character. But it was nice. And I'm really glad I saw that article, because I'm glad to have met you, because I think it's really been a joy.
Thank you.
And I do have a couple of announcements to make. I want to thank some of the people who have contacted some of our Denison Farm guests that you enjoyed the show, and that you also did and enjoyed some of their products, because there's nothing like farm fresh products. I'll be introducing some more of the farmers during the summer, and right now they're busy trying to get things ready, so we're going to take a little break. I have a great lineup for May and June. Mayor Marion Gilbraith is going to be on. Elaine Bogue is going to be on to discuss the stone house up on Pequot Trail. If you know anything about that, that's a stone house that's been vacant for a number of years due to a fire that had burned everything down, and all it is a shell. Now, I drove by the other day, and there's a big roof on it, and there's a lot of things going on, so we're going to have her on the show and tell us all about it. Author Joe Gillespie is going to be back on. She's got a second book out concerning the Revolution, and should be interesting. For all of you aspiring writers, contact me for information on SE Kappa, Connecticut Authors and Publishers, and we're having a meeting, as a matter of fact, on Monday at 6:30, and Brooks is going to be our guest speaker. So if you like what you saw tonight, come on down and you can listen again, because I don't know what she's going to do. Probably talk about it. I don't know what you're going to talk about. But anyway, it's going to be a good program. That's at the Best Western Olympic Inn on Route 12 in Groton at 6:30. Special thank you for SEC-TV for hosting the show and making it possible. And thank you for the 2 Franks and Vern for running the program. Thank you for watching. Email me at santostom@comcast.net. You should be reading. I'll see you next week. Thank you.